Okay, year one, to create this starfish scene, you will need today some drawing inks or watercolours. So if you're at home, you'll be using watercolours or normal paints. We've got our oil pastels or wax crayons, as we used last week. You will of course need your sketchbook to work in, a thick paintbrush, a very fine paintbrush, and some glue and a pot of water. Okay, now I'd like you to open to the next clean page in your sketchbook, but I'm going to use paper today. Now I'm hoping that most of you have managed to print off a seahorse like this. Okay, we will need this seahorse later, and if you haven't, then I will show you how to draw the seahorse later. Okay, so the first thing we're going to do is we're going to make the background for the seahorse. So I'm going to use my oil pastels to create an underwater scene. So first of all, I'm going to draw the seabed. I'm going to have the seabed coming up like that and down and then across like this. And I'm going to colour it both yellow and brown to give it a bit more of an interesting colour and texture. So first of all, I'm going to hold my paper with my one hand, keep it nice and still, and just colour with the yellow pastel or crayon all over that section. Now it doesn't have to be even, you can leave little spaces in your colouring, that is fine. Okay, nice long strokes. You don't need to take too long to colour this, because what you're going to do is you're going to layer the pastel. Can you say layer? Because layer means when we lie two things on top of each other. And this so we're going to layer the yellow with the brown. And can you see that you can see both of those colours appearing through the paper? And that gives it quite a nice effect. So I'm just going to go around the edges like that. And year one, I'm going to leave you to finish off colouring the seabed. Then I'm going to add some leaves and seaweed. So I've got two different green colours, and I'm just going to add some leaf line shapes like this to make it look like the seaweed in the sea. And then I'm going to add a lighter colour, and then I may add a few over here as well. Try and make them different lengths so they're not all the same length. And then it's up to you what you add. I think I might add here a coral. Just like last week we added the things that we wanted in our sea picture. This is what we're going to do this week. So we're creating an oil pastel or crayon background, and then we're going to paint on top of that. I might add an octopus or a jellyfish. Here we go, there's my jellyfish. I'm going to add another colour to my jellyfish. You might want to add a squid. Oh, I've used a different colour because I've used a lot of green in my picture already, so I choose a different colour. It's up to you what you add. I might add a few little fish up here swimming along. You decide what you add to your background. Okay, so my background's lovely and full now, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to take my thick brush and we're going to do something that we call wax resist. Now, oil pastels and crayons are made out of wax, and when you put them on paper and you paint over the top of them, the paint won't cover where the wax is on the paper, And we call this wax resist because the paint is going against the wax and it's still showing underneath. And what I'm going to ask you to do is just create a blue or purpley or green sea background color, either using your watercolors or using the drawing inks at school. And can you see how I'm just taking a little bit of ink, wiping it on the side, and then I'm washing it right across the page. Now can you see I've got puddles of paint there? I don't want puddles of paint because it will spoil my picture, so I need to use a tiny amount of paint on my brush, otherwise it gets too thick. Okay? And I'm going to leave you to continue that painting right across the picture, right until the bottom. And that is your blue background for the sea. Okay, so then I'm going to move away this background and I'm going to take my seahorse. Now either you have a seahorse already printed out or you need to draw your own. If you already have your seahorse printed out, what you can do is just start to cut the seahorse out. So I can take my scissors and slowly start to cut the seahorse out. Now, if you find that some of the sections are pretty difficult to cut and you can't get inside all of those and keep turning the paper, what you can do is you can just cut around it like this to make it easier. And when you get to this section here, you don't have to, if you're struggling, cut out all those spiky bits. You can cut it into one shape like that. Okay? Now, if you are drawing your starfish, your seahorse, what you need to do is start near the top of your page and create a nose shape like this that goes around and comes under like that. Make a neck, and then you're going to go out with the back of the body, out with the front of the body, and you're going to swirl it around like this to make the tail. Okay, and there we have your seahorse shape. Okay, now please cut that out just as you would the other seahorse, okay, the one that's been printed. Okay, so cut those out, and then once you have cut out your seahorse, you are ready to use that. Let me just finish off this seahorse. You are ready to use that in your painting. You take your seahorse, pop it down in the center, and I want you, using your fine brush, I want you to fill the seahorse with either drawing inks or with your oil watercolors. And I want you to make your seahorse as bright and colorful as you can, remembering to use a very tiny amount of paint or drawing ink, and to clean your brush in between. Remember to wipe it and to dry it, okay? And you want to use nice bright colors that you can blend into each other to paint this seahorse. Now I will leave you to continue with that. Then the last part is to either take a pastel and draw on the features. You might want to add the bones, the shape of the seahorse's body, the patterns on his body. It's up to you to decide once he's all done. And then the final thing you will need to do is to take back your background and stick your seahorse onto the piece of paper with your glue. Okay, now in class, what we're going to do is we're going to add some little gems that I have. If you have some at home, you can do the same. We're also going to add a googly eye, but there is no need to, okay? You don't need to add those. You could also add something like buttons or bottle tops. It's up to you, okay? And year one, there is your finished seahorse picture. So we're learning how to use drawing inks, we're learning how to use wax resist, and we're learning how to use a template today. Good luck, year one.